Thank you very much, Lila. That's a very interesting presentation. Interesting to hear about the progress and the challenges, and you're obviously very committed and passionate on the subject. I should also mention that we're collecting copies of all of the presentations that are being made during the day. Obviously, a lot of effort went into that presentation. There's a lot of interesting information, so the presentations will be accessible through the CC Africa website for those who'd like to have another look. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving along, and again, we'll ask our IT friends to pull up our third slide deck. And I'm going to ask Mamahlapane Rakuoane, who's the president of the Federation of Lesotho Women's Entrepreneurs Group, to come up and make our third presentation. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do things in a slightly different order. Maybe if you can just bring that presentation down for a moment, because that presentation is our next speaker, and I'll let you continue on. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am Dimpoma Emma. I am not Mamahlapane Rakuoane. I'm a member of the Federation of Lesotho Women Entrepreneurs. The president is with us here today, but she woke up with a cold and couldn't make the presentation herself, so may I kindly ask her to stand up for you to see. Thank you, and in the interest of time, may I align myself with the protocols and all due respect passed here, and say that as the Lesotho delegation, we are indeed honored to be part of this august occasion, and it's a privilege to address you. And we bring with us warm greetings from the Kingdom of Lesotho and Basotho women. And today we would like to share with you the President's brief journey as a business person, because she is one of the most renowned and pioneering women in Lesotho in terms of women empowerment. Our President was once a radiographer in one of the hospitals, and in 2002 she quit her job to start a business, and she got into direct selling and networking. She was involved in kitchenware and cosmetics. And to start her business, she had to mobilize. We know how networking sales work. It is the numbers and the volumes that help you make money. She was able to mobilize women in Lesotho, Botswana, South Africa, and Zimbabwe, and is currently the regional coordinator and director of the entire region for Table Charm. Some of you may have heard about that company. And this shows her tenacity and resilience in pushing forward women's issues and their economic empowerment. Now moving into where the role of women in business in Lesotho. In Lesotho, like in many of our countries, women play a very prominent role in the business and trade sectors, but they are particularly represented in the informal sector. We have an estimated 24,000 formal SME and an estimated 65,000 informal, which are not registered SME owned by women. We know, as it was just to reiterate really, that women entrepreneurs normally go beyond the economic requirements of their trade, for they also ensure household stability, ensure communal needs, and mitigate the harmful and social effects of poverty. Now, in Lesotho, between 2008 and now, we have had about 71.7% of Basotho who were informally employed by women in the informal sector. And this is indicative of the potential of these businesses if they could be supported and helped to be formalized for them to be sustainable. And Basotho women, like all other women in Africa and elsewhere in the world, are faced with the challenges of low self-esteem, as we know, the burden of having to take care of the family and do business at the same time, lack of access and control of economic resources, financial illiteracy, as well as lack of information and services, as well as markets. In Lesotho, we have about 60,000 women who have a potential loan demand of approximately 67.3 million to start or to expand their businesses. And to us, this represents an opportunity for partnership and investment, because if our commercial banks are not able to meet this demand due to the inability of women to meet the rigid collateral and other security requirements by commercial banks, it means we may very well take the opportunity to use alternative sources of capital and funding to advance, to help improve and grow these businesses. And having said what the challenges are, Lesotho as well has been working on some reforms to help bridge the informal and the formal economy. Our government has been increasingly looking at ways to help bridge the informal economy with the formal in order to provide a more inclusive environment for both men and women to meaningfully participate in the economy. And to that end, there has been some significant legal and policy reforms to help particularly mainstream women in the formal economy, where the greatest of challenges are experienced. The reforms include giving women full legal capacity. In my country, before 2006, women were considered minors and had no capacity to do any business of any form without the consent of the husband. And in 2006, some legal reforms were passed, giving women full legal capacity, protecting their land and property rights, central to economic empowerment. They can now apply for credit in their own right and have contractual rights. We have also been working on streamlining business processes, because we know the high cost of transacting in developing countries. And we have in place, we are establishing a credit bureau, because we used to have problems that credit lenders could not extend enough credit due to no credit record of applicants. And we also have an automated clearinghouse project where we want to facilitate cross-border facilitation, because sometimes it takes too long if Basothos are trading with partners outside of our borders. And we are also introducing what is called a debit smart card. This is a facility intended to allow the rural and urban unbanked to access technology that makes it easy for them to transact, and also to ensure that they are banked. Part of the problem was also that even for people who were already in business, it was very difficult for them to resolve disputes or to claim their debts, particularly for those in the informal sector and small businesses. So for the big businesses, we have a commercial court in place, and for the smaller ones, we have what we call a court-annexed mediation and the small claims procedure, which allows for speedy resolution of commercial cases at whatever scale. We have also streamlined our business registering processes. It takes at least a week now in Lesotho, from about 3 to 6 months previously to register a business. And we have also improved on our business development services to ensure that we have targeted support and initiatives that really talks to the challenges and the needs of Basotho entrepreneurs, particularly women entrepreneurs. And I think for those of us who have been watching the news, this is how well Lesotho has been doing, particularly in terms of gender indicators. We have the World Economic Forum report that testifies to that. Our Global Gender Gap report, we are ranked 8th globally and 1st in Sub-Saharan Africa. And also the World Bank Doing Business report, we have improved about 34 notches, I think, from way down. And some of the challenges would have been addressed. However, the women in Lesotho need support at all the stages. And because of that, there came the birth of the Federation of Lesotho Women Entrepreneurs. The organization was established early this year in February 2013, and it is a non-profit making umbrella organization for all women businesses and their business organizations. It was established in response of the growing need for a national platform that brings together women entrepreneurs to share their experiences, challenges, as well as information and networks. Now, one of the things is that in Lesotho, gender has been mainstreamed, but there isn't much political will to act. We have good policies and legislation. So one of the core activities of the Federation is to really advocate for these issues to be implemented, to ensure that women do really realize the rights and other opportunities provided for in the framework. One of the things is to ensure that our women can grow from being in the informal to the formal, and also to compete regionally and globally. So to achieve this, the Federation has developed a business plan and have several strategic partnerships with the institutions key to its mandate. The structure is quite representative, because we had learned from past experience of organizations that were established for the same reasons, that they were not so inclusive and participatory. So the Federation, as it stands now, is very representative. We have the National Executive Committee, which is composed of members from the district committees, because it has a presence countrywide. And we also have a board of trustees for transparency and accountability and oversight on behalf of the members. And we intend to have a secretariat. Like I said, it was launched in February, so we are still working on the basics and trying to get on our feet. Ultimately, there will be a secretariat which will be headed by the Chief Executive Officer. In terms of membership, in Lesotho, I think the women had been, for a long time, wanting to have such an organization. And as soon as it was launched and publicized, women came rushing in to be members. As it stands, we have 8,500 members countrywide, and this includes women living with disability and HIV and AIDS. On achievements, I think their greatest achievement has been to mobilize Basotho women, to give them hope and to bring visibility to their issues and situation, as well as their collective interests. The Federation is a member of several business institutions. It is a member of the Business Council of Lesotho, the Private Sector Foundation of Lesotho, and the Lesotho National Farmers Union, and this is based on the various interests of its membership. And they are also represented on the board of directors of the Basotho Enterprise Development Corporation and the Association of Lesotho Employers Association. It is also responsible for organizing trade fairs and flea markets countrywide, and this year will be extended across our border, as they now have a partnership with the Small Enterprise Development Corporation of South Africa, particularly in the Free State province, because that is the province nearest to us. And the Federation is also pursuing some projects in poultry. We currently have 158 hectares of land at our disposal where we can erect a slaughter plant, a poultry slaughter plant. and a production infrastructure with a capacity of housing and growing 720,000 beds. And we also have similarly land where we can put a piggery slaughter plant, and we have an ongoing project for the textile industry where we are going ultimately to set up a satellite factory which will be owned by Basotho women. We also have a project in horticulture where we are looking into strengthening the commercial horticulture production and to assist in developing the market infrastructure. And the Federation is also looking to put in place a Women's Development Fund, and to this end we have trained women on credit and savings and have accumulated about 1 million maluti, approximately $118,000, which is intended to start the fund once we have a suitable model identified. And in conclusion, we are very happy to have been here, and last night at the cocktail we learned a lot from our colleagues we interacted with, and we want to assure you that we will be taking some of the strategies and approaches that we learned home to go and further pursue our agenda. Thank you very much. We hope to work with you in the future.